If you've ever looked at a wedding photographer's website and thought, I love this, but I have no idea what editorial actually means, you're not alone. Editorial, documentary, cinematic, romantic, fine art, traditional, these words are everywhere in wedding photography, on Instagram captions, in bridal magazines, and they're often used as if everyone already understands them. But here's the truth. Most couples don't. And even photographers sometimes use these words differently. So today, I want to slow that down. I want to talk about what those style labels actually mean. Not in a trendy way, not in a marketing way, but in a practical way. What they look like, what they don't mean, and most importantly, what they mean for you as a couple standing in front of a camera on your wedding day. Because style isn't about how a photograph looks, it's about how it feels while it's being made. I'm Ken Clough, and this is In Focus with Ken Clough Photography. Why style language matters. The language of style shapes expectations. If you hire someone who calls himself documentary, you might assume you won't be posed at all. If you hire someone who says editorial, you may picture a fashion shoot. If you hear cinematic, you might expect dramatic, moody images. Those assumptions influence comfort, and comfort influences photographs. That's why clarity matters. But here's something important. Most experienced photographers don't actually live in one box. A wedding day moves. The ceremony feels different from portraits. Sunset feels different from a reception dance floor. Family formals feel different from quiet private moments. So instead of thinking about styles as rigid identities, think of them as approaches. So let's define the major ones clearly. Documentary or photojournalistic. What does it mean? Documentary photography is observational storytelling. It prioritizes real moments unfolding naturally. The photographer anticipates emotion instead of staging it. What does it look like? Genuine laughter, tears during vows, a quiet squeeze of a hand, a parent wiping away emotion, or movement and spontaneity. These moments feel alive and unforced. The misconceptions? That there's no direction at all. We were just ignored. The reality? Even documentary photographers position themselves intentionally. They pay attention to light. They anticipate reactions. They may gently move you into better light, but they don't erupt emotional flow unless necessary. What does this mean for you? On your wedding day, this approach means you won't be asked to hold a pose for long periods. You'll be encouraged to act naturally. You might hear prompts like, just walk together. Tell her what you're most excited about. Or stay close and talk to each other. You won't feel micromanaged. You'll feel observed in the best way. If you're nervous about feeling stiff or overly posed, documentary-leaning photography often creates space for authenticity. Editorial. What does this mean? Editorial photography is inspired by fashion and magazine imagery. It's intentional, composed, refined. What does it look like? It includes strong posture, clean lines, deliberate light, confident presence, and framing that feels elevated. It often looks polished and timeless. A common misconception? It will feel stiff or overly staged. The reality is that editorial doesn't mean robotic. It means deliberate. It's about helping you look your strongest and most composed without losing authenticity. What does this mean for you? With an editorial approach, you may be asked to stand taller. You may be asked to shift your weight. Your shoulders might be angled, or your hands may be adjusted. The photographer may reposition you for precise light. You'll receive clearer direction. You're not acting. You're being guided into your strongest visual presence. If you appreciate structure and want portraits that feel refined and confident, editorial direction often delivers that. Cinematic. What does this mean? Cinematic photography feels like a still frame from a movie. It's narrative driven and uses light and environment intentionally. What does it look like? Dramatic light, wide environmental framing, silhouettes, depth and layering, and movement through space. It feels immersive. A common misconception is that it's all dark and moody. But in reality, cinematic isn't about darkness. It's about atmosphere. It's about story and emotion shaped by light and space. What this means for you? With a cinematic approach, you may be placed in a specific pocket of light. You may be asked to walk through a space more than once. The photographer may step back and frame you within the environment. Or there may be moments of stillness while light is still carefully composed. You'll feel part of something larger than just a portrait. The environment becomes part of your story. What does romantic mean? Romantic photography emphasizes emotional connection and intimacy. It prioritizes feeling over structure. What it looks like? Well, close proximity, gentle expressions, warm tones, foreheads touching, or hands intertwined. It feels tender and connected. A common misconception is that it's overly sweet or artificial. But in reality, romantic imagery isn't about exaggeration. It's about closeness and emotional tone. What this means for you? With a romantic approach, you'll be encouraged to stand close. You may be asked to whisper something to each other. You might rest your foreheads together. The focus will be on connection, not choreography. You're not performing, you're just being present. If intimacy and emotional warmth matter to you, this approach highlights that beautifully. What does fine art mean? Fine art wedding photography is highly composed and aesthetically refined. It emphasizes visual harmony. What does it look like? Well, it has clean backgrounds, soft, airy tones, thoughtful detail styling, negative space, and balanced composition. It feels calm and intentional. One common misconception? It's just bright editing style. But in reality, fine art is about restraint and composition, not just the presets. What does this mean for you? With a fine art approach, small details may be adjusted. Your dress might be arranged carefully. Bouquets might be repositioned. Veils might be placed intentionally, and you might be framed within negative space. It feels quiet, deliberate, and refined. Traditional and classic. What does that mean? Traditional photography emphasizes structured posing and timeless imagery. This look is typically used for family formals, symmetrical groupings, direct camera engagement, and clean framing. It's straightforward and enduring. The misconception is that it's outdated, but in reality, these images become heirlooms. They are often photographs family treasure the most. What does this mean for you on your wedding day? With a traditional approach, you'll be clearly positioned. Height and spacing will be arranged. You'll be told where to look. It will feel organized and efficient. This is often the most directed part of the day, and it serves an important purpose. Styles are frameworks, not boxes. Here's the important part. Most experienced photographers blend these approaches. Ceremony might be documentary. Portraits might lean editorial. Sunset might feel romantic. Reception lighting might become cinematic. And family portraits remain traditional. The strongest photographers don't force a single style on a wedding day. They respond to what the moment requires. The evolution of seeing. Style isn't static. Early in a career, photographers often try to define themselves quickly. And over time, something changes. Tastes refine. Confidence grows. Light preferences shift, and editing evolves. Style becomes less about branding and more about perspective. It becomes the artifact of how you see that season of your life. As artists grow, they stretch, leaning into editorial to refine direction, studying documentary to strengthen anticipation, exploring cinematic light to deepen storytelling, working in black and white to simplify emotion. Growth doesn't mean inconsistency, it means depth. And it's important to say this clearly. I don't experiment on a couple's wedding day, but I do evolve in between the seasons. Artistic expression, the heart of it. Photography has principles. Light matters, composition matters, timing matters, and connection matters. But how those principles are interpreted is deeply personal. Style isn't a preset, it's perspective. Two photographers can stand in the same room with the same couple in the same light and create entirely different images. That difference isn't a filter, it's expression, and that's why labels only go so far. Why detailed conversations matter. Because style labels are imperfect, conversation becomes essential. Before a wedding, it matters to talk about how much direction you're comfortable with, whether you prefer candid interaction or structured posing, how you feel in front of the camera, what emotional tone resonates with you, how you want your day to feel, not just look. One couple may love strong editorial direction. Another may prefer subtle prompts. The most important decision isn't choosing a label. It's choosing a photographer whose way of seeing and whose way of guiding aligns with you. Because style isn't just how the photo looks, it's how the experience feels when it's being created. At the end of the day, wedding photography isn't about buzzwords. It isn't about dark versus light, or pose versus candid, or editorial versus documentary. It's about presence. It's about trust. It's about light meeting emotion at the right moment. And when you look at your photographs years from now, you won't remember what style category they fit into. You'll remember how it felt. And the most important style isn't a word. It's the feeling your photographs carry long after the wedding day is over. If this episode helped you clarify something for you, whether you're planning a wedding or building your photography career, I'm glad you're here. I'm Ken Clough, and this has been In Focus with Ken Clough Photography.